had a great weekend. Happy Monday. I'm Jenna Schulman. I am a college consultant in Northern New Jersey. So for those who have not been on one of these webinars before, welcome. And we'll have a lot more this week and a lot more during the summer. But today we have Lehigh, a college that I've been to once before and loved it, loved the architecture. It was such a cool campus. Bethlehem is such a cute city. And for New Jersey students, it's not too far away. So it's nice, especially during these times when it's a little uncertain and you don't want to maybe fly across the country. I'm also happy to say that my student is joining. So I had Claudia 2 years ago, and she just finished her, or 3 years ago, she's finished her sophomore year at Lehigh. So here she is. Hi, Claudia. Good timing. So after we talk to Sarah and Sarah presents about Lehigh, we will turn over to Claudia to give you the student perspective. All right, so Sarah, I think I let you share your screen, so.
Awesome. Well, hi, everyone. I just want to introduce myself first. I am a Senior Associate Director of Admissions in the admissions office at Lehigh. I've been doing that for 14 years now. I am also a Lehigh alum, so I had the pleasure of attending. I got a master's there, and I stayed on with the admissions office because I absolutely love talking about my alma mater, and I love having the ability to help continue the growth of the institution. So I am so happy that you're all here joining us. I didn't know how many people were going to come out on a Monday night, but I'm really thrilled to see how many folks are here. So I don't want to like recreate the wheel if you've already heard our information session or if you've already been able to visit campus. I don't want to rehash everything, but I do want to give you a little bit of an intro about what Lehigh is all about, a little bit about the admissions process, and then some things that have changed, some new things, some updates and whatnot. So I will share this with you. To give you, an introduction, right? When you meet somebody new, when you meet a new college, it's nice to introduce yourself. We want you to introduce yourself to us through your application. So to introduce you to Lehigh, we are a medium-sized research university. Right now, we have about 5,000 undergraduate students. One of the things that we are working on is growing the population at Lehigh. So hopefully by 2027, we will have around 6,000 undergraduate students and around 2,500 graduate students. Right now, we have around 2,000, 2,100. We are always going to be committed to the quality of an undergraduate education and a robust undergraduate education, but there are just some more extra things you can do with a few more students, with a few more bodies, and more on that later. But we encourage all students to get to know one another. All of our students are committed to intellectual curiosity and creativity. And I think that's a really important thing to know, is that as we're looking to grow the undergrad population and as we're looking to build out some new programs, we really want students who don't want to just be told everything, right? You don't want to just read a textbook and then graduate 4 years later. You want to be involved and engaged. You want to ask questions, and you want to hear something in one class and then try to connect it to the things in your other classes. Our students are interested in having an active hands-on education. So they don't just, again, want to sit in these classes, they want to discuss, but then they want to go out and they want to test out the practical applications of the theories that they're learning. They want to do internships. They want to do externships, which are job shadowing experiences, and try out a career. They want to do research either on our campus, over the summer, at another university, or with a company. They want to go abroad. They want to practice their language skills beyond just those learning the language in their classes. So we have an expectation that our students are going to do things, in a very tactile way once they're on campus with their learning. We, however, don't want you to just be a student. We want you to be a member of a community and get involved and do stuff. And one of the things that some families kind of struggle to understand is, well, my son or daughter, they applied and they're valedictorian and they have perfect testing and they have this and they have that and they have every kind of accolade academically, and then they're in one club and they do it an hour a week and that's about it. It's like, no, we want you to be meeting people and engaging with folks and having discussions that aren't just academic. We want you to make these like wonderful connections that are going to last your whole life. Our students are interested in different perspectives. So if you were to look at our STEP team, you are going to see a very diverse group of students on it. If you looked at our, our Society of Automotive Engineers group, you're going to see men and women. You're going to see people who are engineers and people who aren't. So we want students to meet folks who are different from them, not only in their classes, but in their extracurriculars and the things that they choose to pursue. And finally, we want you to make a difference, right? So we want you to go out into the world. We want you to change it. My favorite anecdote about an alum who changed the world is that if you have visited the campus, and Jenna, you can back this up, Claudia, you can too. If you've ever visited our campus, it might surprise you to know, or may not surprise you to know, that we're built on the side of a mountain. So we have over 2,000 stairs on our campus, and students use those stairs all the time. And the inventor of the escalator is actually a Lehigh alum. And I don't think that those two things are a coincidence, right? So looking to make a difference, right? Every day having to schlep up these steps, constantly going up and down, and no such thing as the freshman 15, and it's wonderful. And then you're like, but there's got to be a better way. And so, he invented the escalator, which I think is a pretty sweet coincidence, even though it's totally not. Here's the academic breakdown. And I think one of the most common questions I get is, well, Lehigh's an engineering school, or engineering is your biggest major. And that's not true at all. We're actually really beautifully split across our three existing colleges. And this fall, this August, we're going to be welcoming students into the new College of Health. The College of Health is awesome. It's actually really amazing to talk about right now in 2020, because the focus of the College of Health is on population health and how different communities react to different kind of healthcare stimuli, right? So why are some communities getting sicker with coronavirus than others? And why are some communities better suited to treating coronavirus than others? And how does it spread? So the population health major is really a data science look at healthcare, health, pandemics, epidemiology, things like that. So it's kind of eerie timing that we happen to be bringing all of these epidemiologists and infectious diseases specialists and pandemic researchers onto our campus, but we're really happy that they're here. The College of Engineering and the College of Arts and Sciences are the two largest, and the College of Business is around a quarter of our students. Then again, 12 students are so interdisciplinary that they do not fit in one college, that they are equally shared across both. And so I encourage you to look into our intercollegiate programs. There's 4 of them. One is a dual degree in arts engineering. One is a thematic integrated degree in arts and engineering, arts and sciences and engineering. It's called IDEAS. One is a integrated degree in business and engineering, and the final is a major called computer science and business. And a bonus point to anybody who guesses what's combined in that. Our campus community is unbelievably active, very vibrant. We have a really wide variety of students pursuing things both related to their own identities and getting to know one another. We have students from all 50 states, which is so exciting to say. I don't know why, it's just kind of a weird collect them all, but I love having all 50 states on our campus. And our goal is always to not have it just be one student, right? Like the kid from Wyoming. We want it to be a nice sampling of students from all over. We have very, very active students in athletics, in Greek life. We have students who, are pursuing things that are related to their fields, like honor societies and like professional organizations. And then we have students who things just for fun. We've got a cheese appreciation society, which is very active. We've got spike ball and all sorts of different sports that I never knew existed until I went to the club fair. We're located in Bethlehem, which Jenna mentioned is a small city. So if you're expecting Manhattan, you will not find it. If you're expecting rural kind of America, cow country, you're not going to find that either. You can walk to a CVS, you can walk to several sushi restaurants. We have our own ramen place. There's a lot of really great stuff in the immediate walking area. We also have the shadow of the former Bethlehem steel mill in our background. And so a lot of rich history from our country and just from the region is focused there. We're about an hour and a half from where many of you are in northern New Jersey, about an hour from Philadelphia. So pretty convenient, pretty easy to get to, not too arduous, and certainly, happy to have you come and visit when we are able. So as of right now, we will not be welcoming any visitors before probably the beginning of August, before August 3rd. After that, please stay tuned. Please check on our website, check your emails. If you're not on our mailing list, I'll share a link in the chat a little bit later. And I encourage you to sign up there, and that will keep you in touch with us in changes in when interviews are available, updates to the application process, reminders of deadlines, when you can come visit, and all of that. We're very proud of our outcomes, and a lot of that we think has to do with that hands-on learning, right? So I said before, like, students are active hands-on learners. Our students want to get that work experience, and if they don't want work experience, then they want research experience. And so last year's graduating class, 94% of students had an internship or co-op. In addition to 20% of students doing research in any given year. We've got some really, really creative programs. We've got a huge entrepreneurship push. So students can take advantage of our small business startup. They can work with other entrepreneurs to get feedback on their ideas. It's a summer program called the Hatchery. We also have a program called the Mountaintop Experience, where students work together in interdisciplinary teams along with a faculty member to solve a problem or answer a question that has not been asked yet. And how do we know it hasn't been asked? Because whenever a student proposes a question, they have to pass the Google test. And so a panel of faculty sit there and they look for 5 minutes to see if this question has already been asked and answered. And if it hasn't, they get funded to do it over the summer. If it has, the student is directed to that information and asked to, ask a deeper question. We have a very nice average starting salary and a pretty solid placement rate. Of course, we want that to be as high as possible. We're happy with 95%, but we continue to work with students even after they graduate to help them get placed. And I will certainly, if anybody is interested, share a link to our first destination report of where students are hired, average starting salaries by major, grad schools admitted to, acceptance rates, and all of that. We have an amazing alumni network. I don't know if anybody in the room is a Lehigh alum, but you can always count on a Lehigh alum to go, woo, Lehigh, or point at your shirt and say hooray, and want to talk to you. That's really great for a variety of things. One, it's nice to be kind of woohooed at when you're walking down the street, but it's also really nice when you're looking for a job, or when you have questions, or when you're saying, hey, I'm moving to Houston for my first job and I don't know where I should get an apartment. Who should I ask? Well, you can always call your family, right? And we really, really believe in the idea of the Lehigh family, where you are adopted your first weekend on campus into the family. And that doesn't mean that you're going to like everybody that you meet. We works like a real family, but we encourage our students to get to know one another, to develop those connections, to come back, to develop relationships with our alumni. Again, not with the idea of you call up and say, hi, I want a job, I'll see you on Monday, but you say hey, I'm going to be a doctor and I see that you're a doctor in gastroenterology, and can I pick your brain for a minute? Or what advice do you have for me about applying to law school? Or, hey, I noticed that you were at our career fair. Do you still have openings available? What should I be practicing for in my interviews? So it's a really amazing network that I am always surprised by the strength of. How to apply? This is hopefully a question on everybody's mind, but it's pretty straightforward. You can apply with a few different deadlines. The first is that if you know Lehigh's right for you, if you've done your research, if you've fallen in love like I did, you can apply early decision, and that deadline is November 1st. If you need a little bit more time, or if you aren't able to visit campus until later on and you really don't want to make that early decision choice until you have seen the stairs and experienced it for yourself, I don't blame you. You can apply early decision 2 or regular decision on January 1st. Now, historically, we have been a Common App exclusive college. Next year, we will be accepting the coalition application. So if you're applying to other coalition schools, you can certainly use that for us. Now, there's a bunch of changes to our admissions process this year. We are going to be changing the questions. And so if those of you have already started working on your application, don't go too fast, but we are, of course, going to be accepting the traditional essays through the Common Application and the Coalition application. We're always going to ask you why Lehigh. We always want to know. We're very nosy. We're curious about why you're excited and why you even want to consider attending our institution. We are going to ask you why you're interested in the major or program you chose. So if you say, hey, I want to apply to English because I'm really excited about being a doctor, cool, we love that, but tell us why. Give us a little bit more specifically about, academically what your focus is. And if you're undecided, that's okay too. You can list up to 5 different major choices. And thirdly, we will be asking a new question about kind of your experiences with race and prejudice and different groups that you've interacted with. Lehigh's had a really wonderful response to a lot of the social justice issues going on recently. And so we want to kind of make it known to our applicants and to our prospective students it's something that we care about and something that they're probably going to hear about when they're on campus. So we want to prepare you for that by asking a question about it. Secondly, we are going test optional. So I'm picturing cheers and just like crazy amounts of celebration. So I think that, whoops, wow. I think, oh no, there we go. Certainly that should be a relief for many of you. Here's what I have to tell you. If you are proud of your scores and you want to send them to us, fabulous. You should send them to us. You can self-report, or you can send them directly from College Board or ACT, whatever works for you. If you do not want us to see your scores, do not send them. And that is okay, and it will not be held against you. You are not going to be less likely to receive merit scholarships. You're not going to be less likely to be admitted. We just know that with all the things going on, it is not a good situation right now with standardized testing. So if you have any questions on that, let me know. I did see in the Q&A, do we require subject testing? We never have. Well, that's not true. We used to. We don't now. We haven't for a long time. So don't send us the scores. You're actually not even really able to use those for like class placement, which is a bummer, but we use more AP and IB exams for that. Next steps, I encourage you to take the virtual tour. That's available on our website 24/7. So, if you're up at 1 in the morning and you need something to do, go for it. You can also sit in on a live information session and take a live tour, meaning that you can, kind of ask questions in real time. That's available as well. We have interviews scheduled. They have all been booked, but keep an eye out on the website because we will be opening up more spaces as we are able to. So, keep an eye out. Another reason to get on the mailing list so you get a heads up about that. Use our resources and videos, right? So go to the websites, go to the departments, look into student experiences, talk to them. And, I hope that Claudia shares some of the things she's involved in and her major and all of that in a few moments. Connect with us on social media. That's another great way to find out what's happening. Another great way to get up to date on changes. We announced that we were test optional on our Instagram. And so if you're following us on social media, you'll be able to stay in the loop. If you want to stay in touch with me, you can find me on our website. You can certainly reach out to me via email, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions you have. And then, of course, I hope that you apply. That would be great. It keeps me busy in the winter months. I'm happy to answer the questions. I feel like, though, I will wait until Claudia does her little intro about herself and tells us about her experiences, and then I'll be happy to answer any of the Q&A questions that you all want to send in.
Thank you, Sarah. One question that I thought was good, because I actually have a little tidbit to give. The first question on the Lehigh application, I'm guessing they mean the supplement. Someone asked, can you repeat the first question?
Oh, I forget which one I said.
I think it's the why Lehigh,
yeah,
right?
why Lehigh? Like, why are you applying? Why even bother to write this paragraph? What do you want to accomplish while you're here? What do you want to learn? How did you hear about us? What motivated you to apply? So yeah, that'll be very similar to last year's.
Good. So for all those listening who haven't already been taking notes, to put my little counselor hat on here, take notes on what you're hearing from what Sarah just said and from what Claudia is saying, because when you answer that question, it's really helpful to have some notes and to give some insight as to what you heard that made you really interested in applying. So I like to say, why do things twice? Instead, you can just kind of listen now, take some notes, and then it'll help you when you have to write that essay.
Yeah, and other advice, and then I swear, Claudia, I'll let you talk, I'm sorry. Make it personal, right? I'm applying to college X because they have a biology program and I want to be a doctor, and you can do research in biology at this school and they have pretty buildings. That's a lot of colleges. So, talk about your research that you've done and what did you see on our website, and hey, I did this weird Zoom thing in June, and that was what prompted me to look into this program, and then this program was the perfect fit, and here's why. So make it personal to you. When I'm reading, we call them Mad Libs, right? You've done a Mad Lib where you just kind of fill in the adjectives and whatnot. I know that is a kind of boilerplate why college, and it's not nearly as impactful as a shorter but very personalized, very meaningful
Right.
I was on your campus, I ate this, I saw this person, I met this person, and I'm excited to do this thing.
Right. Thank you. That was good advice. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Claudia. Claudia was a student of mine 3 years ago, and like probably many of you who are applying, she changed her mind a few times throughout the application process, but ended up at Lehigh. She's wearing a Lehigh sweatshirt. You can't really see it right now. There it is. Looks good in those colors. All right, so I'm gonna have Claudia introduce herself a little bit about her major, her experiences at Lehigh.
Okay, hi. So I'm Claudia Small, and I went to Hanover Park, which is in East Hanover, New Jersey. Um, okay, so in high school, I tried to take a lot of honors classes, AP. I knew that I wanted to go to a good school. I wanted a good scholarship, but I never thought of Lehigh. I always wanted to go to Miami or University of Florida, but Jenna actually changed my mind. She told me about Lehigh, which I'm very happy about because I do not regret it at all. Um, so I applied early decision round 2 to Lehigh, assuming I would not get in. This was my reach school for sure. And let me think about this. So um, basically, like what I definitely want to emphasize about Lehigh is like what I like compared to my friends who go to bigger schools like Penn State, Rutgers, Miami, which is not as big, and like UF, their experience in terms of finding a close knit group of friends and extended friends does not compare to what I found at Lehigh. Um, and like I wrote this down, I said, I don't know whether it's the size of the school, like being that it's so small, or the personal supplemental papers, which we were just talking about. But I would definitely say that Lehigh has surrounded me with the people who share the same values and motives as I do. So I think that the supplemental essays are really important for Lehigh because from what I've noticed, like everyone at Lehigh definitely follows the motive like work hard, play hard. Everyone wants to help each other and we all have like the same goals in life basically, obviously different, but we're very hardworking.
And Claudia,
Um,
what is your major at Lehigh?
okay, so I'm a biology major at Lehigh, and at first I always wanted to like become a physician's assistant or something like that in the healthcare field. But actually, like everyone at Lehigh who's taking the same classes as me encouraged me to be pre-med, which I had never even thought about because I don't come from a family of doctors or anything. But everyone like really encouraged me, and it's great to have like friends surrounding me and like counselors and teachers who really like open your eyes to different opportunities. So now I'm following a pre-med track and I major in biology. I have a minor in health medicine and society, and I just started taking classes this summer at the new College of Health, which I would also encourage because they have a lot of research opportunities and they're smaller classes and I really like that. Um, but basically, when I got to Lehigh, it was kind of a shock for me because I was very involved in high school. Like, I was a competitive dancer, a cheerleader. I would definitely spend more time with my friends than studying. I never used to study. But when I got to Lehigh,
You had good grades though. Don't
but
let her fool you. She had great grades.
when I got to Lehigh, like it was like you go to class, you're in the library for the rest of the day, and then you go out at night. And I was surprised. Like I saw this coming, like I knew I had to do well. But everyone encourages you to do well and like study and everything. So that's definitely your schedule at Lehigh. Um,
What kinds of activities are you involved in at Lehigh?
okay, so I joined a sorority. I'm in AOPI and I love it. I would say that's where I've met most of my close friends. And what's great about Greek life at Lehigh is that like it doesn't matter which sorority you're in, we're all friends with each other. Like you can go anywhere and you'll always have friends. You don't have to be with your sorority. It's not like that at all. And we even had a Greek pause, which was very unfortunate because it was right before COVID. But even during the Greek pause, we would make an effort to go out to dinners with different like sororities and different fraternities. and we would make it an effort to like see each other. It was never, we never just like forgot about each other and let the Greek pause stop us from seeing each other. Um, Also, because it's a small school, there's a lot of leadership opportunities. So personally, since I'm in a sorority, I'm house manager and philanthropy chair. So that's given me the opportunity to connect with a lot of people and go into like conventions and network and learn a lot about leadership and just like professional things that you don't learn in class, because class is more about like academics. But also, like, you can just like make up a club and you would be encouraged and admired. Like, it's not like high school where you have to be embarrassed to start something you're interested in. Everyone's very encouraging. um
That's great. And then what else? What other things you do? I know you tutor.
yeah, so also like an option is I forget what it's called. It's like work study. So I decided to tutor at the middle school, which is in walking distance from the school. And I've been doing that since freshman year and I love it. It's just like a rewarding experience because Lehigh is in Bethlehem and it's like a poverty ridden, like not a great town, but it's really great to know that you're helping the community. And it's rewarding to work with students who really need it, and like they don't have great teachers who really care about them either. So it's nice to get like hands-on experience with them. So I do that.
How has Lehigh helped you with like internships and jobs and stuff, like shadowing?
Um, I'm
Or what
trying
have you done with shadowing for med
okay.
school?
So honestly, because I'm pre-med, there's not much, but I think like the fact that I go to Lehigh and the classes that I was able to take at Lehigh allowed me to volunteer. I volunteered at Weill Cornell. It's New York Presbyterian Hospital. It's like a very prestigious hospital. And like anytime I would mention that I go to Lehigh, everyone would be like, that's a great school. You're doing everything that you can right now. Um,
That's good. And what about the pre-med advising?
there's only one pre-med advisor, and there's not much, you don't need much help, I would say. But it's good to know that like you can always reach out to professors, because it's a small school. Like letters of recommendation will be really important when you're applying to med school. So it's great to know that I won't have any trouble like going back to any of my teachers and asking them to write something for me, because they have very flexible office hours. And like I've been in office hours like very late because the library is right next to all the teachers, so you can just walk over at any time and they're very flexible and willing to work with you.
Okay. And then can you tell me a little bit more about how you guys get involved in Bethlehem besides the tutoring? I mean, is that like where most people go out for dinner and stuff and like restaurants and things?
Okay, so
Or like what do you do outside on the
okay, yeah. So basically like nightlife is
Oh, wait, you're muted. Sorry, I think you just unmuted. Yeah, nightlife is what?
okay, so basically like there's a great nightlife. Like you can go out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. Saturdays, um and you dress in silly clothing and it's really fun and it's unique to Lehigh. I think that's pretty great. There's also, we don't really go out on the south side, but if you go over the bridge on the north side, it's a really nice area. It's where Moravian is. And it's probably like 7 minutes away. And there's a bunch of restaurants there. It's really nice over there. So that's where we go if we want to get dinner or anything. But other than that, we don't really have to leave campus. I think it's great that we have like our parties on campus and everything like that.
And how are like the sports and stuff and school spirit?
So that was one of like big shock for me, like the culture. I used to love going to football games. I was a cheerleader. And even though there's a big rivalry between Lehigh and Lafayette, like I've never been to a football game. It's very unfortunate. I've been to lacrosse games because I think it's more prevalent at Lehigh for some reason, but
And
we
wrestling, I hear.
yeah, and wrestling is really good there too. Um, I've never been to a football game though.
No, that's fine. Okay, and then anything else about maybe like why you chose Lehigh, and because I know you said like I had helped you decide on it, but maybe like what made you choose it in the end?
Yeah, so my parents are divorced, and so one thing I was really like concerned about was how much college would be, obviously. And like then I found out through Jenna that like I should not be worried about like finances because some schools offer full need. And this is something that Lehigh does, and I'm pretty sure it's like not many schools do this. I think it's like Ivy Leagues that do this. So basically I have like a very generous scholarship to go to Lehigh, and obviously that's amazing because the tuition is like 70,000 a year. And some people would be turned away by like the tuition, but because I had Jenna as my counselor and she explained all of this to me, I applied to Lehigh and now I am going there, and I'm like, I do not regret it at all.
Yeah, I think just in general, there's a lot of schools that maybe have a high sticker price, but they actually are really great for students, whether it's, especially Lehigh. So it's nice to know if your family like needs the money that they'll try to do everything in their power to give you that financial aid. So, okay, good. So there's a lot of questions here. I don't know, Sarah, I can answer some of them, or I can give them to you, Claudia. I'll try to see. What do you guys know Sarah probably knows, is the percentage of Greek life?
Yep, it's about 30%.
Okay, great. What state, or for Claudia, as a biology major on a pre-med track, have you had opportunities for undergraduate research?
Okay, so I have reached out to professors and I haven't had much luck, but I'm assuming that's because I'm going to be a junior and there's obviously certain classes that I should be taking, but now that I took biostatistics and I feel that I understand research now, I think now would be a great time to ask, and I think I would have the opportunity. Also, the College of Health, they were very like promising to work with me, so I think that's great. But it can be hard at first, but you can't be discouraged. Like you just have to keep taking the right classes and you'll get there eventually.
Okay. Sarah, do you want to talk more about research?
Sure. I mean, every year about 20% of our students will do some sort of research. Typically, your own independent research will be done between junior and senior year. So you'll start something junior year and finish it up senior year, or present it, after that summer. I think with our pre-med students, there's kind of a different timeline, mostly because students are a little bit split between applying to med school immediately after college, in which case you kind of need to be doing things very, very early on in order to prepare for that, or taking that like kind of gap year and applying after getting a little bit more hands-on experience. So we have two large hospital networks in our backyard, St. Luke's and Lehigh Valley. And a lot of our pre-med students will go and volunteer there. They'll shadow doctors. They'll be involved in our internship programs that we have. Our pre-med advisor, there is one. So Claudia is exactly right. Her name's Mary Ellen. She's been doing it for at least 15 years. And she works individually with students. There's another mentorship group called the Med Mentors, and they'll work one-on-one with students who are a little bit younger, right? So the first years and the sophomores who are kind of testing the waters of being pre-med. And so any student can do research in any area. Often we think of research as more of the sciences or more, engineering. And while there are opportunities for them, there's also a good amount of opportunities for students in the social sciences to do research. We have several labs on campus, and we just renovated the psychology building. It is stunning. I was a psych major, and it was not nearly that nice of a building when I went there. But there's also students doing research in the College of Business. In fact, we have a cool program that allows students in the College of Business to go abroad, fully funded to do research in the country that they visit. So anyone can really do research. It does take, some work on your part. And so, reach out to the faculty, make sure that you have the classes that you need to do. But, if you're open to doing your own, then that means that, you're going to be coming up with the questions and working with the faculty and getting things set up on a pretty organized timeline in order to make sure that you get it done before you graduate.
Okay, I think this is for Sarah. I think this is a quick no, because you guys don't have this program, I don't think. How competitive is the nursing program?
No nursing.
That's
No
why
nursing.
I figured it was
Yep.
a quick response.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep going back and forth. Claudia, what makes Lehigh stand out from other schools?
Definitely, I would just overemphasize that it's a close-knit networking. We're always helping each other. We work as a team. We're not competitive. The student environment is what I like a lot compared to what my friends say at other schools.
Okay. Sarah, do you track demonstrated interest? Yes, I think you said that.
We do. And so a lot of families are like, well, what if I can't get to campus? And what about this? And so we get it. We're not immune to it, but you can send emails. You can do the virtual tour. You can do a virtual visit. You can, show that you have done your research in that why Lehigh question, right? So some of the demonstrated interest is not about checking a box, but by showing us in your application that you've done your due diligence. So, we obviously don't want you to just keep visiting campus every week, because that's not what you should have to do to be admitted. But show us that you have taken a moment to learn, and you're not just kind of applying because your mom or dad told you to apply, that you really know where you'll fit in and what you want to take advantage of.
Okay. Are people allowed on campus for an impromptu independent tour?
We don't have a gate to keep you out. Nobody is there, and you will not be allowed in any building, nor will any building be open. So you are welcome to stand and look at buildings from the outside, but I will urge you to use the virtual tour or come back in the fall. It'll be a much more robust experience, and you will not have driven an hour and change to just look at some pretty pictures, because there's one, oh, hold on, right here. You can look at it right here. So, yeah.
This is good for Sarah, but Claudia, you can chime in. I have a student who's a perfect fit for Lehigh in every way, but she's concerned that there is a small Asian American community. Can you tell me more about ethnic diversity on campus?
For sure. Yeah. And I was actually going to add some links in the chat, but I see that the chat is just for us. But if you want, send me an email, or I can send these out to Jenna.
You can chat it. You can put it in the chat.
Okay, cool.
It'll go to everyone if you go to all panelists and attendees.
Oh, all panelists and attendees. Wow. It's like it's my first day with Zoom. Anyway, there's this really awesome office that all universities have. It's called the Office of Institutional Research, and it's called different things at different places, but you can find out basically any statistics you want. It is all public information. So if you want to know how many women are psychology majors, or how many women are mechanical engineering majors, or any other kind of, different statistic or demographic, there you go. So I saw that somebody asked where the most students are from, and that answer is Pennsylvania. The majority of our students are from the Eastern Seaboard, so kind of Boston down to DC. That's where you'll find the bulk of our students heading home on breaks. But we have a growing population from Texas and California, as well as Florida. So everybody loves winter. So we think that it's important for you to know that you will meet students from all over. About less geographic and more racial and ethnic diversity. We're about 60% white. We have about 10% of our population are non-citizens. And so they might be in school domestically or abroad, but they actually don't count. It's weird how they count it, but 9% of students, 9.5% are non-citizens. Asian students, we have about 7.5%. And so we are not nearly as high as many of our peer institutions. But it's something that we're aware of, and something that we're looking at why it might be that we don't have as many students. So we're working on that. And certainly if a student of any background has questions, I would encourage them to reach out to us, or a current student who might, they might identify a little bit more with, and ask them about their experiences. Hispanic students are about 9%. African-American students or Black students are about 4%. We have students who don't report. We have multiracial students, about 4% as well. So it's definitely a mixture of students on our campus, but it is something that we are working pretty heavily toward addressing in our admissions process.
Okay. Oh, and then while we're on diversity, somebody asked about the LGBTQ presence.
Yeah, actually, we were the new ratings from Campus Pride just were released, and we're in the top 10 schools in the country for LGBT-friendly experiences for our students. So if you identify as a member of that community, happy Pride, but also, certainly learn more about what Lehigh has to offer. We've got great resources for students who are transitioning. We've got awesome groups for students to connect with one another. We have a variety of ways that you can interact based on your own personal kind of identification and those who you would want to converse with. So yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Claudia, have you ever had trouble getting into classes that you request?
I've never had problems. And also, like, you can ask teachers to be put on wait lists and you'll most likely be put in.
That's good.
Yeah, no teacher's going to be like, how dare you want to take my class? They're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, I guess, for Sarah. Do you apply to a specific major?
You apply to your college. And so that's where you'll start. You will tell us the major you're most interested in, but you are not starting out in that major. We will tell the department that you listed them as your top choice, but you come in undecided every single time. But you start in the college that you apply to, so make sure you know that that's really where you want to be. We can switch your college during the admissions process. So if, going into the fall of your senior year, you're like, yeah, I'm going to be an engineer, and then you're halfway through calculus and you're like, never mind. You can email us and we'll switch your college. But once you're admitted, that's where you're going to start, and they will help you the next steps of the way. And you are welcome to change your college after, 30 credits at Lehigh, which is basically after your first year.
Great. Somebody asked if housing is guaranteed 4 years, and then I want to ask Claudia about housing and dining.
Sure. Housing is guaranteed and required the first 2 years. So you are welcome to stay on campus all 4 years. Claudia has probably lived in her sorority house. And so if you join the Greek system, you would be required to live in that house for 2 years, which right, so that's to 3 years total, because you can't rush until January of your first year or any time after that. And so, Claudia can certainly talk about her experiences in the dorm versus in the sorority house. But there's a variety of options. There's dorms, there's apartments, there's suites, there's special interest housing. So we have like a first generation house. We have a creative vibes house, which like has a recording studio in the basement. There's a lot of different types of themed housing as well as just general housing.
Claudia, you want to talk about freshman dorm versus the housing you're in now and how that all works?
So definitely living on campus, it's great that they make you do that because first year you get to know everyone. You're not just like localized to your sorority. Like you get to know everyone in your hallway. And also it's great dining on campus too, because that's where you meet a lot of friends. Anytime you go into the dining hall, you'll always see someone you know. And you can walk in there alone and find friends because everyone is always in the same like 2 buildings for dining. And then living in my sorority house, I think that was my best year there. Like I loved that so much. It's great to be surrounded by really encouraging people. Also, you're forced to live with the year above you. So in my sorority, I was a sophomore living with juniors as well. And it's really great because they're very encouraging and like there's always help in any room you walk into, like you're really close with everyone because the sororities are smaller. You can walk down into the kitchen, the living room, like you're all just living in a house together with no parents, nothing. Like it's really great and great to have that support around you always.
Good. Sarah, is there a 4+1 MBA program? And then somebody asked a little bit more about the College of Business.
Yeah. So the 4+1, we do have 4+1 other programs. They're not really formalized, but we do have one-year MBA programs, or excuse me, one-year non-MBA master's programs in the College of Business. We do not have a 4+1 MBA, mostly because all of our MBA programs require work experience, generally at least 2 years. So unfortunately not done, but you can also get a master's in 1 year for other things. And what's really cool is that Lehigh, if you have space in your schedule as a senior, they will often let you take some of those graduate courses in your senior year to get like a head start, especially if you've already applied to the master's program. As far as business is concerned, business is our smallest college. There's about 25% of students involved in it. There are 9 different majors, and they just redesigned their first year curriculum, which is awesome. Now there is a whole focus on data and understanding how to use it, how to get it, in what ways your employers will probably ask you for it. I do see that there's a question about what companies hire and recruit. I will share here in the chat our first destination report, and that is data for all colleges. So you can see, all 3 of our, colleges that have graduates. So College of Health won't be in there because nobody started there yet. You'll also be able to see the graduate schools that students were admitted to for health and law, and then just general graduate programs. But you'll see companies, Accenture, Bloomberg, Deloitte, EY, Goldman Sachs, the names that you would want to see, you are going to see on that list. I also kind of love to look at which companies hire where, and you'll see KPMG and EY hiring in our Arts and Sciences College, and you'll see Deloitte hiring in our Engineering College. And so it's kind of cool that you don't necessarily have to have the specific major that matches in order to work at these companies, because they're looking for Lehigh students because they're doing unique experiences. And often, our accounting students will have worked with our industrial engineering students and have like an interesting point of view to give, even freshly hired.
Great. Do you still have the 7-year dental program with Penn?
We do. Yep. And so that is a whole second admissions process that you would go through with that. There is a supplemental application that you would need to submit to both us and Penn. And that is a very, 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 very small program. There is 1 student on campus who is doing that program.
Wow.
So not many 17-year-olds know they want to be a dentist, like that much. But if you do, it's an amazing way to shave an entire year off the process. So yeah.
A few people have asked, or maybe it's the same person, do you keep a list of who follows you on Instagram or social media?
Like who follows us?
Like who follows Lehigh? Like, do I get bonus points because I followed Lehigh admissions?
Oh, geez. I mean, I know that I'm sure that our communications office knows who likes things and who engages and what. I mean, they tell us like, oh wow, 200 people clicked on that one link or whatever. But they don't send that to. We don't see in your application what your Instagram handle is unless you share it. Or unless somebody shares it for you. So you probably don't want that.
Don't want to recommend that necessarily.
I don't recommend it. No.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about merit scholarships and then how they work if scores are not submitted?
Sure. If you do not submit scores, it means for any student, right? So not just those that we would consider from, let me back up. If you don't submit your scores, it means that we are looking at everything else, right? A little bit more to make up that piece that's missing. So if you send us the scores, we can kind of see how you do in this very specific instance of demonstrating your knowledge. And if we don't have that, then we're going to look at other things. So let's say you're applying for a math heavy major like accounting or finance or any kind of engineering, pre-med, and you're kind of a straight C math student. If we have testing and it shows that you have an 800, that's interesting, right? That's kind of an interesting difference that we can talk about. If we don't see any testing, we only have your coursework to go on. So as far as sending the test scores, not sending the test scores, certainly if you think if it will help you, we would welcome them. You can self-report. Again, you can send it through directly the testing agency. If you don't send it, then we're going to look at everything else. So if you've got straight A's, if you're taking a full IB curriculum or 10 or more AP courses, If you're a leader in your school or your community, if your recommendations are amazing, you're a great candidate for a merit scholarship. And if your testing is a 1600, great. You're going to look that way with your testing submitted. If you're an 1100 and you choose not to submit that, you're still a really great candidate because that's what we can see. So, certainly if you have a question about whether or not to submit your scores, you can ask me, you can ask, a college consultant if you work with one, or, you can ask anonymously if you want through the admissions office. But I would encourage you to, think about what you will be presenting to us with your scores. And if you feel that it doesn't show yourself in the best light, I hear it all the time. I'm not a good test taker. I'm not a great standardized test taker. It wasn't a good day for me. My little brother was yelling in the room and I was trying to take it at home, that kind of stuff. Then don't worry about it. Don't sweat it.
Great. A few people have asked about the interview, how they can book it if they are currently offered. And then I think you didn't mention that. Are they required? What value do you place on them?
Yeah, so interviews are being offered this summer. Right now, they're all booked. So you're not looking at it wrong. We announced it and they were full like that. So we're going to add some more time. So definitely, sign up for the mailing list. I will put that in the chat as well. And you will get a heads up and you will be on our radar for finding out when those are getting released again. Interviews are totally optional. So if you feel like you have questions that you want to ask, if you feel like you want to learn a little bit more about a student's personal experience, then you can sign up and do an interview with one of our admissions fellows. And so they are currently high students, either juniors or seniors, and you can talk to them and they can talk to you and get to know you a little bit better. They are evaluative, right? So there is going to be a student who tells us about your conversation and what you talked about and what they asked you and what you said. They let us know, do they think you would be a good fit, right? Would they like to eat lunch with you? Would they want you to be their roommate? And so, I encourage you to think about whether or not interviewing would be something that you would want to participate in. Parents, if you are here and you think that your student should interview and your student says they don't want to interview, do not make them interview because the interview is not going to be strong. And that's probably the number one piece of weak feedback that we get, is that the student didn't want to be there. And sometimes they straight up say, I don't want to be here. And that's not good. So don't do that. We also will be offering alumni interviews. And so similarly, they're not current students, so do not ask them about the food in the dining hall. Do not ask them about what their favorite class is. You can ask them about what their favorite class was, knowing that it may not be offered anymore. But we, will offer that opportunity to applicants. So once you apply, you will be able to choose to opt into having an alumni interview this year.
Great. Does Lehigh have any co-op programs?
We do. Co-op is for engineering students. The top third of the rising sophomore class is invited to join the co-op. To be very candid with you, not many students do the co-op because our students want to do multiple internships for different companies to leverage multiple job offers. So instead of spending all fall semester working for company A and then the following summer working for company A, our students really love working for company A the summer between sophomore and junior year, and company B the summer between junior and senior year, and then seeing where they get the better offer. So we're actually working with our Center for Career and Professional Development to kind of figure out what we really want our students to get out of co-op. You certainly get a much deeper understanding of what goes on at a company with a co-op, but it is a 4-year co-op program. Students are typically paid, which is very nice, and it is a great opportunity for them to be involved in a much more like kind of deep way with a company versus like maybe just doing an internship.
Okay, great. I think we're taking the last 3 minutes of questions. So if anyone has any last ones, get them in. I couldn't get to all of them because a lot of them you can just Google, but if you want to go quickly with the average size of classes, is there like a one number?
27.
There you go. Are there a lot of club sports?
Yes, there's a lot. I mean, like club Quidditch,
these are all
club
like
running.
things that you could Google, I figured. Someone asked, this is a little bit more deep. Are incoming freshmen eligible for the honors program, if there is even one?
Nope. So we're not like a Rutgers or like a Penn State where you kind of want to like be with the the smart kids, like we're just a college of the smart kids. So we do have some programs that are harder to get into. Our integrated engineering and arts and our integrated engineering and business programs are really selective beyond just the regular admissions process, but we don't need an honors program because it's the whole college, baby.
Okay, awesome. To conclude, Claudia, what would be the best advice you can give to incoming freshmen?
Lehigh has something for everyone, so definitely just get involved. We have the perks of a big school with a close-knit community, so it's just very important to get involved.
Okay.
And find your
great.
purpose.
Great. And Sarah, anything that you want to wrap up?
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the questions, and certainly I'll put my email address in the chat if you want to email me with any kind of specific ones. We read applications in a really holistic way, which I sort of touched on when I was talking about the testing. But like Claudia said, right, like we're looking for what you're involved in. We're reading your essays. If we want to know who you are, because we're a small enough school where you're going to be a meaningful member of a campus. It's not like you're going to go to this huge institution and there's 80,000 people and it's just like you're a drop in the bucket. At Lehigh, like one person makes a big difference, and it might be the difference between fielding a club Quidditch team and not. So we want to bring together students with a variety of different backgrounds, a variety of different experiences and expertises, and getting them all together and seeing what kind of fun things happen. So, I think I would encourage you to, check us out on our website, sit in on an information session. I gave you a very short amount, of information, and certainly reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, and so, hopefully you guys get a chance to learn more about Lehigh, because it is really a great place. Bethlehem has a lot of colleges nearby. That's where I saw Lehigh on the Lehigh Valley tour. So there were 5 colleges all within probably 30 minutes from each other. So it was really great to see. And I think that's it. Any final remarks?
Thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And for just everyone at home, here's a list of more schools for you. So we're a third of the way through. So lots more to go. So lots of exciting colleges to learn about. And if you want to, sign up, just find my name on the internet and you should be able to pull up this site, which gives you registration to all the other schools. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Sarah. It's been great to learn more about Lehigh, and I hope that you get a lot of applications, as you always do.
Yeah. Well, thanks all. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.